Hey, we're live. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Rob.
Greetings, Earthling.
Okay, what's going on, everybody? It's Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Rob, and I'm creeping it real.
And apparently we're all Earthlings, according to Rob.
Yeah. I mean, when you're weird like me, everyone else is an Earthling.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm an extraterrestrial.
Oh,
That's
really?
why I don't fit in.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Just wait until it's not Trump anymore. Wait until Biden declassifies aliens. Aliens. Short-tailed pythons.
That should be your thing.
I have that meme saved of the guy from Ancient Aliens where he's going like,
oh boy,
aliens, and I just changed it to be like short-tailed pythons.
Jesus,
I love it.
Oh man, so we are officially live on YouTube, and I know I was doing it on Facebook and YouTube, but I'm just doing it specifically on YouTube primarily because it's really hard to watch two chats at the same time.
Yeah, it's a little difficult
because we only see the YouTube chat. We don't see the Facebook chat, so it's all here. It's all on YouTube, exclusive. Once we dial some things in, I want to change a couple of things up on the layout here so it can be a little cooler. We're gonna change it up.
We're gonna get ring lights.
I don't know what the hell that just was.
I was just trying to think of all the things that Donnie told us that we need for us to look pretty, and ring lights are a thing that you need to look pretty. And I don't have a ring light, so
I have a slightly less aggressive LED light in the room. It's still aggressive, but it's a little less aggressive. So I look really pasty, and so does Rob.
You can still see my eyebrows.
Oh boy! Okay. So we're here. So this is our final January episode
of 2021.
And
we're doing resource episodes.
That's right. So we're going to be talking today about finding community
in the reptile hobby.
Finding community in the reptile community.
Yeah, I mean, because back in the day, it was much more difficult to find people who are into the same things that you're into. But now with the internet and the ability to travel, much easier than previously before. I mean, not since COVID, but up until COVID, it was very easy to travel. And like, I know several people who have been to the ham show in Germany, and it's like, if you had asked people 20 years ago, 25 years ago, hey, did you go to Germany for a reptile expo? People be like, excuse me? What? I will not drive to the next state over because it's too far. So I think that now we are kind of in a golden era of finding community and finding people who are into the same thing that you're into. Because if you go on Facebook or go on Morph Market or whatever, you can just type in the thing that you're interested in and boom something's going to pop up.
Yep.
Almost always there's something that's going to pop up. It's very rare that you type in a species and nobody pops up whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because there's somebody doing it. There's got to be somebody doing it.
It's true. In today's world.
Yeah. Not all of them are online, but
that's true.
But there's so many different ways that you can find community in the reptile hobby. And, some people kind of tout themselves as being, I'm strictly an animal person. I don't like people. And it's like, okay, this episode's not for you. Stop listening right now. If that's you, stop listening. I don't care.
Legit.
The rest of us, regular reptile keepers, hey, I love short-tailed people. I love them.
Like people with short tails?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we all technically have short tails. I love people who keep short-tailed pythons. Like, that community to me is just like my favorite. Those guys are so tight-knit, guys and gals. They're so tight-knit. They, help each other out. They are constantly, lifting each other up, encouraging people. When you ask questions, they give you valuable input for the most part. But that community to me is like, it's just so amazing. And then there's other communities that are not always as accepting of new people or people in general, and it's kind of cutthroat and blah 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 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as that community to me is kind of like family. And if you're just about the animals, cool, but you're missing out on all these opportunities to meet some really incredible people, not just in the short tail community, but like in the greater reptile hobby as well. Every hobby has its scumbags. Every hobby has its ding dongs who, yeah, I said it, are, not going to be beneficial to the overall good. But a lot of those people don't hang around that often.
That's true, and usually they're not even around.
Yeah,
for a very long period of time
to say something negative, and then they disappear into the shadows.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's definitely very true, and I mean, I've been more recently like in the short tail group scene, just a little bit. I don't really post all that much, but I just check in and see, and I definitely agree. Like I see that like camaraderie, that people wanting to lift each other up and push each other to the next level, and like start when you see people starting to talk about projects, and be like, oh man, like I really like what you're trying to pull out of this, like I can't wait to see what you do, like all that kind of stuff. I definitely appreciate seeing that, even if it's not the seasoned breeder.
Yeah.
If it's somebody who's got like their first pair of short tails that they're trying to breed, and that's huge. That support is massive. I think about some other species groups.
Looking at you, ball pythons.
That's right. And it's just like consistently cutthroat and chaotic, and it's like, man, what gives, dude? Like,
what's the point? What's your goal? What's your end game?
There's no end game. There's no more $100,000 ball pythons. There's no end game anymore.
I get it. Like, it's annoying to go into a group and see the same question 47 times in a row.
Yeah.
I get that. That's annoying. But for people who show up with genuine questions, it's, there's no reason to cut them down and to just degrade them over that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's not worth. It's what good does it do? What net good does it bring your life to do that? To like cut somebody down like that?
Exactly.
It just doesn't.
No, not at all. And I think the other thing to think about too is like, a lot of times you'll see people like, man, I wish they would just do their research.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, especially newer people and younger people coming into the hobby, like sometimes a Facebook group is somebody attempting to do research.
To do some research. But in that same vein, so here's the deal. If you are listening right now and you are new to the reptile hobby,
welcome.
Yes, my name's Rob, and I like bloods and short tail pythons and scrub pythons. And when you join hi Rob. When you join your first little set of reptile Facebook groups, what I need you to do, what I need you to do is hold your questions for 1 month. 1 month. Don't ask any questions. Just read. Just read. Just watch what other people are doing. Just lurk. Be a lurker. This is me encouraging you to be creepy and to lurk in the background and just watch what everybody else is doing, but don't say anything.
Sponsored by Rob.
Yeah. Just take in information. And check your group. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Facebook and you're in a Facebook group, check your group resources. Because like the blood and short tail group, they've got this huge thing saved of like frequently asked questions. And your question has already been asked 500,000 times. And it's been answered 45. Like it's been answered 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So for those generic questions, check your group resources. Watch what other people are asking. If you'll see, like one of the things that like rubs me the wrong way is when people come in and they're like, who's got this thing? And it's like, if you watch the group for a week, you would see who's doing that thing. I promise.
Yeah.
I promise. Because most people are posting on at least like a weekly basis for the people who are like really into it.
Yeah.
So if you're like, I'm looking for a really dark Sumatran short tail python, instead of going on there and your first 10 minutes in the group being like, who's got these things? If you just like looked at the pictures a little bit.
Yeah, you could figure that out.
You could figure it out real quick. Even if it's not someone who is breeding them, you could be like, where did you get yours from? And
Yeah.
ta-da, you've got someone where it came from. So, and doing that due diligence and showing that you've got a little bit of situational awareness to say, hey, look, I'm not going to ask I heard blood pythons are mean. Are they mean? Question that's been asked 27 billion times.
But are they?
Depends on how you hold them. Because I got some real
unless
friendly
you're my
ones.
ocelot short
Oh
tail.
yeah, there are exceptions to the rule. But
dude, I think Barczyk said it best in one of his Snake Talk episodes when he was saying, you know, the biggest problem with reptiles is that they don't read the books.
True. They definitely don't. They do not care what your book says.
Yeah, at all.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh boy.
No, but I'm gonna just glaze right over that. So the Facebook groups can be a huge resource, but like I said, read for a week, maybe not a month. Like, I get it. People today are not patient. Patience is a superpower in today's society. If you have to wait a week to get your new snake shipped to you, you're losing your shit. Bad seller review. They made me wait a full week because it ate the day before I purchased it and it wasn't safe to ship it. And it's like, oh, I wish you'd just take a breath. I know you're excited. I'm excited too. I want you to get your new snake.
Right.
But I also don't want to put this animal at risk.
Yep. Legit.
So just take a minute, calm down. I know everybody's excited when you get a new snake. # new snake day on Instagram. Take a look at it. It's fun. But if you just take that minute to just soak everything in, like I said, just for a week, take 1 week, 7 days. You don't even have to check the group every day, but just take 7 days of not commenting anything or making a new post. You can comment on stuff and be like, oh, that's cool. But don't ask any questions for 1 week and just see what you learn. Because I bet you'll learn a ton of things in 1 week that you might not have learned just by posting hey, will you spoon feed me this information?
Yeah.
And granted, there are other places where you can learn things. Podcasts. Ta-da! We're on a podcast right now. And you could be learning from podcasts. Reptile Talk is not meant as this is how you keep this type of snake, and this is how you raise them, and this is how you breed them. There are other people who do that. There's other people who do it well. That's not what our intention was with Reptile Talk.
Right.
If you are interested in that sort of thing, check out Morelia Python Radio, some of their back catalog. They've got tons of information. It's mostly focused on snakes, but tons of information with different kinds of people, how they raise and breed different types of carpet pythons, short tail pythons. There's people who talk about white lip pythons and this and that and the other thing. And it's a huge resource.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's literally it's as if you're sitting in on a conversation about how you take care of this animal. And it's incredible. But people, I think, even that listening to a 2-hour podcast, they're going to go, it's not typed to me directly right now. And it's well, you just,
I want to hear it directly from the person myself.
To me,
in a one-to-one conversation.
Yeah. There are opportunities for that, but if you want to get that sort of one-on-one, do it in an expo. I know that COVID's kind of messed that up right now, but if you can get to a reptile expo and you see someone who's working with the things that you're interested in, go ask them, because I can almost guarantee you they will be happy to talk about that thing that they're breeding.
Yeah.
Almost guarantee
100%. 100%.
You know, there's some people who are just not, and that's whatever, don't shop from them, but there are plenty of opportunities for you to get one-on-one conversation with people who are breeding them at expos.
Yeah. I think expos, I think about for me, like, I am generally fairly introverted. But when I am, are you trying to not slurp into the mic? Wonderful. But when I do think about being in a place where I'm like doing something I really enjoy, like a reptile show, or like if I'm at a gig or something like that, I tend to be like way more outgoing and like, hey, like, what's going on? It's good to see you, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. there's a massive community within Reptile Expos.
Yes.
You know, especially like, you know, I mean, if you think about the big shows, you know, like Tinley and stuff, a lot of people are like, oh man, it's like the massive family reunion, because it's like where people from the East Coast and the West Coast come. We all meet in the middle of the country and all that kind of stuff. But the local show scene is often where you get a lot of that.
You can really plug into some interesting people at a local show.
Yeah.
And especially because they're closer to where you're at, and the way they keep things might be very similar to how you would want to keep things, because they're living in a similar climate. You know, it's one thing to talk to Nick Mutton, who's breeding things he's in California, right?
Yes.
He's breeding things on West Coast, California,
wherever, I don't know,
West Coast,
somewhere West Coasty.
It's one thing to talk to him and see how he breeds things over there, but if you live in Southern Florida, where it never gets cold, or like very rarely ever gets cold, the way you keep things is going to be different. It's just going to be different.
Exactly.
And if you go to a Southern Florida Reptile Expo, to people who are breeding those things in the same area that you are, you're probably going to get more pertinent information or better information to keeping and breeding in your area than you might from someone who's on the opposite side of the country or the opposite side of the world.
It's true. No, it's very true. Yeah. So I mean, you also you never know who you're going to encounter along the road. I mean, wonderful example is the two of us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, Rob and I have known each other for a long time.
Like at least 6 months.
At least, you know,
if not more.
Yeah. I'll go with 6.5 months. But reptile shows.
Yep. That's where I first got to know you.
Yeah.
These reptile shows.
Yeah.
Now the tables have turned, and I've got the luxurious mustache.
Yep.
And Jeremy's clean shaven
for the most part. You know, a little soul patch still happening. But you know, I mean, that's where all the magic happens. At least, you know, in my eyes. I think about, like, I used to always go to the White Plains show in New York. So I think about so many vendors that have come through that place, and a lot, you know, so many of them that I still keep in touch with. My friend Dom from Big Wheel Reptiles, Debbie and Ross from Jungle Jewels Reptiles, rest in peace, Debbie. I mean, so many people. That's where I met Barczyk.
That's where I met Brian Barczyk too.
You know, and you know, I mean, that was a whole endeavor in and of itself. But you know, I mean, if it wasn't for the local show scene, that wouldn't be a thing, you know. And then I think about, like, the New Hampshire show, still a decently sized show, but nowhere near as large as White Plains. But, like, that's where I got to know, like, Mark Murdoch from A+ Serpents, you know, just so many different
Alan
people.
Both,
Alan Both, you know, just so many different people along the road, you know. And you're just walking by, sometimes you're just walking by people's table and you're like, oh man, that thing's bad. I gotta talk to him. I want to know more about that.
That's how I met Jason up in Maine, is when I was really young, like some of the first Manchester shows that I went to. He had Amazon tree boas and short tail pythons, and I was like, oh my god, bloods and short tails and Amazon tree boas. I was like, I gotta talk to this guy. And I would just be like a little kid, just like, hey, you're doing really cool things. And he's like, thank you for appreciating these snakes, because no one else here does.
Yeah, exactly. maybe that's why the short tail community is so tight knit, because they're like, if we don't have each other, we have nothing.
Dude, I always like to associate the groups of communities by, like, kind of how the animals are viewed. Because, like, the short tail community, people look at bloods and short tails and like, oh, they're they're mean, and they're like cruel, and they're like these, you know, swamp snakes. And you like look at some of the guys or the people who keep short tails, and you're like, maybe not. But if you get to know them and, like, you don't rub them the wrong way, they're the best. They're freaking awesome. They're just, like, so chill, so mellow. And as long as you don't fuck with us, we don't fuck with you. But
that's true.
And that's exactly how it is, dude.
Yeah.
And then, like, the retic keepers, retics are, like, big, and they got to throw around their muscles and show everybody, look at how giant I am. And that's exactly how the retic keepers are. And everyone's going to be mad at me for this episode. And then bearded dragons are like, and then people put clothes on them, and that's exactly how their keepers are too. And I'm trying to think of what other communities. The chameleon people are like very dialed in. Like the chameleon people are focused.
They really are focused. Yeah,
because they have to be.
Yeah, they definitely have to be.
But like it's just like whenever I look at those little communities and things, I'm like, oh man, they're just like so much like their animals, not in looks, but like their personalities and the way that they kind of have their reputations and stuff. Because like where ticks are like, you know, back in the day, they had this big gnarly reputation and the big tough guy and blah, blah, blah. And then nowadays they're like puff creams or whatever. They're just like,
now we have Garrett Hartles.
Oh, no, I like Garrett.
Me too.
He's like one of the ones who's like the step out because he's like a super dwarf. He's like, he's really quick and wriggly and, but he comes lots of cool colors.
You got to use a hook to get him back in.
He's still manageable. He's still manageable. And then like the mainland guys are like, look at how big I am. And then you're like, say that out back. Let's say that out back. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I think
I don't know what's happening.
I don't know. This is very abstract. I told you this episode was going to be abstract. Okay.
True. You did. Moments before we started.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know about the frog community. And the tarantula community is weird. And then the scorpion community is even weirder.
Yeah.
I love the arachnids, but oh my Lanta, some people are weird as hell. It's like they only talk to their spiders.
That's oof. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, I definitely would definitely agree. Just overall, I mean, I think you want to talk about the ball python keepers.
Oh yeah.
Quick to strike and then fast to retract.
To curl up, yeah. They're like, I'll hurt you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're like, I'm worth $10 million. And you're like, are you though?
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, when you peel off the Versace sign to see dollar store.
It's Dollar Tree.
Oh, sorry.
Dollar General, sir.
Sorry. Oh man. Depending on where you are. Yeah, and I mean, I've been staring at this one comment in the chat that I think is probably a valid one to touch on a little bit. Which we kind of just did a little bit. Like there's always going to be jerks.
Oh yeah.
You know, no matter what community you're in, no matter what, what field you're in, people who are jealous of whatever you're doing, or they just in general don't want to see other people succeed.
Yeah.
For one reason or another. Yeah. And I mean, the easiest thing to do when it comes to those kind of people is just ignore them.
Yep. Those people want nothing more than your attention. The
That's
more
true.
attention you give them, the more power you give them. If you ignore them, it's
wonderful.
It's delicious. It's palpable. Like it's just
like Cajun fries from Five Guys.
So good. It's so good because you see that they want to engage so bad, and then you're like, did you hear anything? Because I didn't hear shit.
Yeah,
I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I think that's literally like the most important thing to do. If you don't engage, there's nothing else for them to say.
Yeah.
But
take in information. If there's always opportunities to learn,
right?
From the greater community as a whole, but don't let someone who's just coming in just to say some mean crap to you. Don't let them just come in and just say some mean crap to you and have it ruin your life, because it's the internet. At the end of the day, like, internet's a great place for community, but it's still the internet.
It is still the internet. That's exactly right. That is exactly
These people aren't paying your bills unless they're buying snakes from you. So
true.
And then they might be paying your bills.
But even then, sometimes,
you
just gotta let them talk.
Literally.
Yeah. But I mean, I certainly think, like, for myself personally, back in the day when I was a kid, I was like always ready to go. Like, yeah, you got something to say, motherfucker.
Oh.
Like, and
I used to get into it.
Yeah, and it's like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, I would remember like being in those heated discussions, being on a forum or on Facebook or whatever, and you're like waiting for the response. You're like, yeah, let them say something smart now. Yeah, I got him. And then it never stops until an admin disables comments. But
that's how you know the SmackDown's coming.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, just let them talk. Just ignore them and do whatever and focus. What you give energy to, you energize. What you feed, you energize. So if you're not going to bother paying attention to the negative stuff, cool. you know, you want to work on establishing those positive relationships and building that foundation of just good people.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, what energy you put into it definitely is what you'll probably get out of it.
Yeah.
There are exceptions to the rule, but if you go out of your way to like take care of people and, you know, share information that you've gathered, you know, because I remember when I got my first snake, you know, by the time I got my first snake, I'm probably a bad example, because by the time I got my first snake, I had like 10 years of reading experience and talking to everyone I could get my hands on.
And he was only 8.
I was 13 years old. But I remember going into the forums and asking questions and trying to find someone who, you know, the first time my ball python went off feed for more than 2 months, you know, I was like a little nervous, not gonna lie.
Yep.
And that snake went 11 and a half months without eating. And then one day he just decided to come back online. And, you know, I brought him to a vet after 7 months, 6 or 7 months, because I was like, okay, we're back into summertime. Why is he not eating?
Yeah.
And the vet's taking weights and doing fecal samples and mouth swabs and this, that, and the other thing. And then, no, he's perfectly healthy. This is like a very healthy ball python. They do this sometimes. So just, you know, offer him food sometimes and, you know, he'll eat when he's ready. If he starts losing weight, bring him back, but don't even worry about it.
Yep.
It's like every 3 weeks I would be like, no. Okay. No. Okay. And then like literally one day he was just like, oh, food, and just like started eating again. And I still have that snake.
It'd
He's
be like
19 years old or something like that.
That's crazy.
Ridiculous. But, you know, you definitely do want to feed a community that will feed you back.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, for me, I'm, of course, because I focus on it, but for me, like the Morelia community has been one of the best communities that I've been a part of, just from conversations I've had with people to, like, you know, if you have a question, like anybody that I've ever asked for help or advice on a situation, they've always been super forthcoming with information and whatever. And like that, you can't ask for anything better. Like, cause I mean, that's basically all we want. We want to have that connection with people. You know, if we have an issue, we can just be like, hey, this is a thing. Can you help me with this thing? And then, you know, people jump in. And especially if you've also established yourself in that group as either somebody who's new and eager, or like
someone who's willing to help.
Exactly.
Listen, you guys got Morelia Python Radio, okay? This is not NPR.
I'm not even talking about that.
I know.
They still haven't even had me on their podcast.
Oh wait, they gotta have you on.
I thought I was supposed to kick off the year. Eric and Owen, you bastards. Sorry, just had to. Anywho,
You need to edit that.
I'm not editing any of that. They're getting called out. I love you guys, but damn, what's a motherfucker got to do
to get on an NPR?
No, but you know, I mean, I like to joke around, obviously.
I think that all the carpet guys are like major jokesters.
Yeah,
like,
that's probably true.
I see a lot
as
of stuff
our
that
carpet pythons.
Yeah. They're like, nip you real quick, and they're like, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm okay, we're cool. And they get a little older, and they're like, I'll still light you up sometimes.
Yeah, legit. Oh my
I'm
gosh.
just saying, man, every animal is like the groups are the groups.
Yep.
I gotta meet David Mean so I can figure out what the scrub people are like. Because
there you go. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, these are just the things, man. Like as we're talking about different communities, I'm like, different names are popping into my head and like different conversations and experiences. But yeah, I mean, freaking just be cool, man. Just be cool. And you know, the energy you put out, you receive.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think that's the most important thing. You know, and another spot that you can really gain a lot of this community from is you have a local or regional herp society.
I was just gonna say that. I was gonna be like, going from the regional reptile expos to your regional herp society.
That's it. You know, and I mean, these are the people that they're jumping in your neighborhood. Essentially, they're jumping into this hobby in your neighborhood, and you might find out that, oh man, this person lives like right down the road from me or whatever, like one town over, like, oh, I get to go hang out with them and they're cool animals and stuff. But establishing that kind of foundation is massive, because if you think about it on a grandiose scale, your herp society kind of provides you with the grassroots of a community.
Yes.
It's the people who have maybe a couple bearded dragons that they really like, or like they've got a handful of ball pythons or whatever, and they're like, I like this stuff, this is cool, and I want to talk to other people who like this stuff.
And a lot of herp societies will put on educational demonstrations.
Yeah.
I've given talks for the New England Herp Society a couple times. When I was president of the Maine Herpetological Society, I set up meetings and had people speak and talk about shipping animals and regulations and this, that, and the other thing. But it was a great place for people to come together and just like, Reptile Expo, there's a lot of pressure for the vendors to be like, sell things, make your money, make sure that you're paid for the day and blah, blah, blah. But in a herp society setting, it's just chill, just hanging out. And a lot of herp societies will offer frozen rodents, or maybe some might even do live rodents like down south. I don't think they do it up here.
Yeah, probably not up here.
But frozen rodents at a discount, so you can get locally sourced rodents as opposed to buying from a big box store or whatever. And you might get them at like the same price without having to pay shipping. So it's a great opportunity. I used to buy a lot of rodents from the New England Herp Society.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, and those resources are invaluable. Yes. Invaluable, especially like, I mean, that's when you want to become buddy with the guy who brings in all the rodents. He's like, hey buddy,
I'll help you carry some stuff in. How many pinkies you got right now?
Yeah, exactly. Just bring those right to my car. Don't worry about it. Meet me out back. I'll take care. I'll hook you up. Let me get that. And I hope you carry that box in discount.
Yeah. Sometimes I would get it.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's like everything. It really is. And a lot of times too, if you ever find yourself in a sticky situation for whatever reason, like a health issue or something, you might need to rehome a couple of animals, like, and you're like, oh man, like I don't really have the time to ship things or whatever. Like if you have that network within your local herp society, sometimes all it takes is one message, and then they can immediately put out feelers within the rest of the members, and be like, hey, so-and-so's got a problem, like they need to unload a couple of animals, does anybody have any space, whatever. And it gives you a little bit of that peace of mind, just knowing that you have that network immediately available to you.
And not on the other side of the country, because it's cool to meet reptile, or like to make reptile friends all over the place and all over the world. But if your power goes out and you need to have somebody who's cool to have 10 snakes and pillowcases at their house for a couple days.
Yeah, exactly.
It's much better to have someone down the road than, someone 10 states away or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I wish there were more reptile people in Western Mass when I was growing up.
Yeah.
It was like very few. Or it was like the I have a boa constrictor because I think it's cool person. There was never. I think that really the one name that comes to mind is Shaquem Scott.
Oh,
who
somebody else?
No, I'm not talking about that one. I know who you talking about, Joe, but it ain't him. But yeah, like when I was a kid, stop it, Rob. When I was a kid growing up, when I was like in my early teens and working at a local pet shop, this dude came in and he was like all like super reptile geek. And he, at first he kind of like rubbed me the wrong way because he like tried to challenge me on stuff because I was like this little kid. And then like I got to know him and I was like, oh, okay, you're actually not a piece of crap. You just you're a little abrasive, but that's all right. Some people in this industry are.
A lot of people in this industry are.
Yeah, it's true. But he and I became great friends, and every once in a while now, like I haven't really talked to him in a few years actually, and then oddly enough, he randomly calls Nerd to ask for me. He's like, I saw you on YouTube. I knew you were up there. I'm like, oh my god, dude! Like I haven't talked to you in like forever. Like, how's things? What are you keeping? If you're still keeping stuff, he's got a good little collection, and like if it wasn't for people like him, like he was always pushing me to learn stuff, there. And if I ever found myself in a bind for something, like I could hit him up and be like, dude, do you know the answer to this? Or like, do you know who I should talk to about whatever? And he was like a super great resource for me when I was younger. But he was like one of the only people within Western Mass that actually was like really, really into it. And as I got older, I met other people, but he was like one of the first people
that you met.
Yeah.
See, when I was really young, I didn't know, I knew that there was a herp society because I got my first snake at a New England Herp Society meeting. It was when it was in, Hingham at the, oh my God, I'm blanking on the name of the thing. It was like a room twice the size of this room. So like a tiny, tiny room.
Yeah.
There was like
room.
3 tables or 4 tables there.
Yep.
And there was like a couple leopard geckos, a couple ball pythons, like normal ball pythons,
Yep.
Water dragons, maybe an iguana. And that was it. Like it was nothing there. But I got to meet a couple people who like bred things locally. And the guy who I got Monty from, my first snake. Listen, okay, I got him almost 20 years ago. It was almost original then. It's not original anymore. People are like, I've heard 27 Montys. And I'm like, I did mine before that. But meeting those people, and the guy who I got him from had produced him. So he's a captive bred snake. And I was like, oh my God, a captive bred ball python.
What?
Is a black back, fully striped down black back down his back. It was amazing. And he only wanted $75. And I was like, oh yes, I need to scrape together $75. And that was kind of just opening up that door for me to be like, oh my God, there are other people who are like actually crazy about reptiles around here. Because what I did when I was a kid is I took all of my friends and I was like, you guys like reptiles now.
Yeah. Hey, you have to like
have to like reptiles, because if we're going to hang out, I don't talk about anything else. And they're like, okay. No, I'm just kidding. They were cool. Super cool with it.
Yeah.
They're super cool with it. Because when you're a kid, people are, almost everyone's into catching bugs and looking for toads and all that sort of stuff. So like when I was a kid, all the kids are into it. One of my neighbors, Corey, we went out and we're catching salamanders, like redback salamanders. And I brought a critter keeper and he forgot to like bring something to put them in. And so he like just put a couple in his pockets. And
I think you've told this story before.
Did I do it on the podcast?
I think once before, but it was a while ago.
So long story short, he forgot to empty his pockets all the way out. And when his mom was doing laundry and taking things out of the dryer, there was a very clean salamander in the dryer. And she called me screaming like, come over here. There's a giant lizard in my dryer. And I was like, it's dead. And she's like, no, it's not. And I was like, there's no way that a salamander went through your washer, your soap, your detergents, then through your dryer spin cycle and is okay. And I get over there and it was perfectly fine. It was like just plop right on top, the cleanest salamander you've ever seen in your life.
That's amazing that it was actually alive. I was like, oh, it did go from amphibian to reptile. Is it like dried out from the dryer? But
no, I
guess not.
It must have been like in a little patch of like
moisture.
Like he must have had like leaves and dirt in his pocket too, because the thing was just like super clean. Like it was a little dry, but it was just shing, sparkle, sparkle. And I was like, oh my God.
Perfect.
But like, he doesn't keep reptiles
don't
now.
Don't try that at home, folks.
Yeah, please don't try that at home. There are easier ways to clean your
pet salamanders. Oh my gosh.
But he doesn't keep reptiles now. But like when we were younger, that was the thing. And I used to like go out, and I lived right near the woods. So when I got out of school, me and my friends would just take off into the woods, and we'd bring a 5-gallon bucket. And we just like catch snakes and throw them in, catch snakes and throw them in, and catch snakes and throw them in. And we get back to my house and like set them up in a basin and like feed them a bunch of worms and like just watch stuff. And my parents' rule was everything's got to go by nighttime. As soon as the sun goes down, everything's got to get let go.
Yeah.
So I would always let things go, but I always wanted to get them to eat. But most of my friends back then, they were like super into it, and like hardly any of them keep reptiles now, but they all had a really great time. And that was my community back then. I kind of made my own community.
Yeah.
And you can do that too. Cause like
100%. Yeah.
Here's the thing. So a lot of people I've self-selected on my Facebook that my Facebook is only reptile people. If you don't like reptiles or arachnids and stuff, you're probably not friends with me on Facebook, because that's all I post about or talk about for the most part. And but a lot of people, they've got their family on there and random friends and school and coworkers and this, that, and the other thing. And those people are not tied into reptiles. Their only
Legit.
experience with reptiles is I saw the movie Anaconda once. And so when they see a picture of a ball python wrapped around your neck, they're going, it's squeezing you to death. And you're like,
Yeah.
this is my pet of 10 years. It's not squeezing me
Yeah,
to
it's
death.
fine.
He's
It's fine.
just staying warm on my neck. And you have a great opportunity there to create a little bit of community for yourself. I'm serious, dude.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people. So one of the things that I'm super into that not a lot of people are into, or less people are into, is tarantulas. And so when I would post pictures of tarantulas, I would constantly get people who are like, nope. The snakes are cool. Don't do that. The spiders are too much.
Yeah.
And then after a couple months of just like, if they didn't immediately unfriend me, after a couple months, they'd see one that they think is cool, like a Goody Sapphire, P Metallica, where it's like bright blue and yellow, and they're like, okay, that one's cool.
That one's pretty nice.
But all the rest of them are terrible.
Yeah.
And then I post another one like a Caribbean Versicolor and Antilles Pink Toe, and they'd be like, okay, that one's kind of pretty too. And then you post a picture of a jumping spider, super up close macro, and it's got these big eyes, and it's just staring at you, and they're like, why are you converting me to thinking that these things are okay?
Yeah.
And slowly over time, exposure therapy, people can get used to it and get over it. And eventually they'll want to learn, because they're going, okay, that one's not bad looking. That one's kind of cute. That one's really cute. And then they're going to go, okay, why was I afraid of these things? Why do I think they're cute now? Tell me more. And then you have the opportunity to have a conversation. And you can create more community that way.
That's true.
I always encourage people to share their pets, their reptiles, on social media if you can. And if you have the patience to do so, I mean, not everyone has the patience to sit there and hold everybody's hand and say, hey, look, it's not a venomous snake. It's not going to kill me. It was not lying in my bed to size me up. They don't do that. It only eats once a week. Teach people, because people ultimately want to learn. They do.
100%.
They definitely do. They don't generally want to be afraid, especially of something that is as harmless as most reptiles are.
Yeah, legit.
And I can't tell you how many people who have been like, the first time I posted my bearded dragon, I got a lot of not in my house. And then after people seeing 6 months of my bearded dragon hanging out with me on the couch and me feeding them little pieces of strawberry and blueberries, they're like, okay, that thing's kind of,
they warm up.
That thing's kind of cute. I kind of like them. And then they kind of get to know your name for your pet if you name them. And it kind of gets people habituated to it, and it gets them to get over that discomfort that they feel with the animals.
For sure.
And that's better for everybody.
Oh yeah, 100%. I've also over the years certainly experienced the same, where people are like, oh no, why are you posting that? I want to see that in my timeline, all that nonsense. But I've also been able to utilize it as a musician, because I get a lot of musicians that add me on Facebook from stuff, and we'll finally meet in person or whatever, and they'll be like, you're the one that posts all the snake stuff.
Snake guy.
What the hell is up with that? And I'm like, well, I'm glad you asked.
Let's have a conversation.
Talk about this. And, or in some instances, I've run into other musicians that also keep reptiles that don't, it's a very minor part of their life. Yeah. So they don't really, I forgot who exactly it was. I think it was my buddy Max, but, we were talking after I was visiting somebody else on their gig, and I started talking with the bass player, who ended up owning a bearded dragon, because he was, what do you do? And, I'm a musician. Do you do anything else? Oh yeah, I keep reptiles. And like, no way, dude, I got a bearded dragon. And what do you have? And I'm like, I have over 100 snakes. Let's not go down this road.
Yeah, I got a lot.
But like those instances have been really cool. Or my favorite right now, best story since coming to Nerd, being in a studio session, totally unrelated to anything, like wasn't a metal session, wasn't a nothing, whatever. I had my case on my back, slung on my back, but I was wearing my nerd hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
I take my bag off and I turn around to put it on the floor, and the bass player's like, "You," and I'm like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "You work at Nerd. You work with that crazy guy, Kevin." And I was like, "Huh?" He's like, "I've seen you on the YouTube." I'm like, "Oh God, please don't say ball pythons."
And he's like,
"Ball pythons."
Okay, that's my new profile picture right there.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Oh
dude.
boy.
Dude, I don't really go and do a lot of things, but there's like a really good ice cream place across the street from Nerd.
Mm-hmm.
And one summer day, I just like walked over there and I'm standing in line at the ice cream place, and it's like this huge line. So I'm just like sitting there like, oh my God, I sweat to death. Cause it's like right in the summertime.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I hear like this little girl's voice. Oh my God, it's the guy. It's the guy. And like, I already knew that this was going to be me. Like everybody else in the line.
Way to be cocky,
I know it's got to
Rob.
be me. It's got to be me. Who else is it going to be? And so I like kind of like turn and like peek around a little bit. And this little girl is like probably like 7 years old. And she starts like waving frantically. And she's like, "Reptile guy, you're the reptile guy over. Your name's Rob." And I was like, "Yeah, hey, how's it going?" And she's like, "I got my leopard gecko from you last year." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Like, how's it doing?" And she's like, "Mom, show him the picture. And she like, her mom's like gets her phone out and like is scrolling through, and she's showing me all these pictures of her leopard gecko. And she's like, "I love this leopard gecko so much. So much. It's my first pet reptile, and I love it so much." And she got like so amped. And I was like, "I am so glad that you love your leopard gecko. You should share that with your friends." And she's like, "I have my friends come over, and then I feed them crickets, and they like to watch them chase them around." And I'm like,
awesome.
yes, that's what it's about.
That's awesome.
Because those people are having a positive experience with those reptiles. She's creating her own little community of people who are now going to be more accepting of those reptiles. Because to the person who's never met someone with a bearded dragon, or never met someone with a leopard gecko, or never met someone with 47 ball pythons, those people are weird.
Are you calling me out, Rob?
I don't know how many ball pythons you have. I didn't count.
It's like around 49. Whoops.
I was close.
Yeah.
But it's creating that little bit of community around these animals, and it's exposing
100%.
people to this thing that otherwise they would not have any exposure to. And that is huge when it comes to our ability to express what we like about these animals. Because if someone doesn't have experience with snakes, and like they're like, "I saw the crocodile hunter and the snake's like striking at him and trying to kill him, and I seen anaconda where it like squeezes J-Lo and eats her," and it's like, yeah, that's not it. That's not what most snakes are like, though.
Yeah.
But then you have someone who's got their own pet snake, like my friends who have their ball python snake spear, and when William Snakespeare. You can't, if you're listening to this, you're not allowed to steal that name. They're the first people I know who named a snake that, and they get that one. That's theirs.
That actually is a wonderful name.
It's great.
I can't say.
And that's a snake they got from me. And so it's like, when their friends meet Snakespeare,
William Snakespeare,
when their friends meet him, they're like, "Dude, Snakespeare's awesome. I love him." And it's a little community around that animal, and now people are not looking at it like this monster and it's going to lay down in bed next to you to size you up, which is a myth. Please stop perpetuating that if you're listening and you think that that's the truth. I don't expect anyone who's listening to this to believe that, but regardless, they don't think about the movie Anaconda. They think about Snakespeare and how cool he is, and how like he's a little ball python. He's got a cute little face and big eyes, and he's cute.
William Snakespeare.
Dude, I've heard some really original names over the years, and I just love to hear original names when it comes to all the different reptiles, dude.
I just like that name.
It's great. It's a great name, because the first time I heard it, I almost pissed myself, because I was like, that is the best name.
Yeah.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
You guys win.
That's
Shout out to Serena and Ian.
That's a good one.
That's a great name.
That really is a good one. I'm just taking all of that in real quick. William Shakespeare.
Hey man, he's a Renaissance snake.
Now I'm trying to think of really creative Shakespeare titles, but turn them reptile related. Like what would Hamlet be?
A hognose snake.
No, but what would, if you were to change Hamlet to be like a reptile's name that was creative?
Oh, I don't know.
I
still would call it Hamlet and just do a hognose snake.
Maybe, yeah.
A hog, pig.
Maybe I'm thinking too much into it now. But
Fly Creek pig nose turtle. Hamlet.
Maybe so. Actually, that's pretty good. I'm gonna have a really long night thinking of
creative
Shakespeare
reptile
titles that could be snake names. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna make a list.
Oh boy. This needs to be a section, creative reptile names on the podcast.
Man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's wow. Yep. That totally derailed everything that I was going to say.
I'm
but
sorry.
It's okay. It was good. It was definitely good. Another really wonderful way that we've been able to make the community a community, which we kind of already talked a little bit about with regard to like Facebook groups. It's just social media in general.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about this because I'm like looking at these list of names for people that we need to reach out to be on the podcast, which we're not telling you about. A lot of these people I've had the opportunity to talk to in person, but also online. And if it wasn't for that, it would have become a lot more difficult to touch base with a lot of these people. And just in general, because like not everybody checks their email every day, or if they do, they don't check it multiple times a day, like Rob.
Like me.
But people are always on their Facebook or their Instagram, or they're doing something for YouTube or whatever. So it's a lot easier now to touch base with people and get information. You just go on Facebook and you find Ozzy from Ozzy Boyds, or you go to Instagram and you can find Justin Kabelka or Miguel at Always Evolving Pythons.
And when you message those pages, it's them.
It's really them for the most part. If you message Brian Barczyk, he's not going to respond, but it's also not him. But
maybe.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I'm kidding. But I mean, we live in a really unique time right now when it comes to this. It's if you message Kevin, it's definitely not him.
Oh, he won't read it. Yeah.
No.
If anyone replies back, it wasn't Kevin.
Yeah, it's Donnie.
Usually.
But I mean, it's an invaluable resource when it comes to creating that community, especially when it comes to like, if I think about the ball python community, just because that's what's publicized really more than anything else. The names Justin Kabelka, Brian Barczyk, Kevin McCurley, Ozzy Boyds,
little communities.
They've got their own little communities, but they're also like a lot of people look up to them.
Yeah.
So there's that almost that element of like rock stardom, kind of like, oh my God, like they're the ultimate whatever. And like you can send them a message on Instagram and it's them, and you can have a conversation with them if they respond to you.
Or in their comment section.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's awesome. It's cool, to have a conversation with somebody that you look up to and establishing that. And, exactly like what Rob was saying, like they have their own little communities within themselves.
I'd say Nerd has its own little community inside of the reptile community.
Exactly. Some of them are here in our chat right now. We appreciate everybody in the chat right now.
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you for being in the chat, even though we're not paying attention to you very much. I'm trying to.
We appreciate you still.
Yes, it's true. So yeah, I mean, I think the aspect of community in the reptile community,
community within a community.
that's right. I mean, it's only gotten stronger as time has gone on. Just again, with social media being able to bring people together in a much larger and faster way than ever before. And especially now with COVID going on, reptile shows aren't really a thing. Herp Society meetings aren't really a thing. But what's still a thing? Social media. And we're pretty much all scouring it right now, just looking for something to occupy our time, especially for those of us that still aren't working. But I mean, how awesome is that? When the only other way to previously really create this community was you had to go out to a reptile show, or you had to go find wherever the Herp Society was, because there weren't many 20 plus years ago. Or you had to be willing to pick up the phone or send an email and pray to God that person saw the email and replied to you. So it's a way different time now. And the way it's going and as fast it's progressing as the reaches of social media just continue. I mean, keeping reptiles is becoming less and less of a taboo as years go on, which means that community is just continuing to grow and grow and grow, which is wonderful. And it's really up to us to take advantage of all of those opportunities that are in front of us, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah. I think that the next thing that comes out, because I know that Facebook isn't going to be around forever. The next thing that comes out, I'm very curious to see what direction it goes in, because Facebook is not the easiest for communities. Honestly, it's meant more for like you and then maybe a couple people, like not a ton of people, which is like the 5,000 friend cap. That's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
And you're not going to have community with all of those people, no matter what you do. It's just not feasible.
Yeah.
But it is much more feasible to be in a group and be friends with the 20 people who regularly post on there.
Yeah.
Or the 30 people who regularly comment in there. And to learn and to grow with each other, because, every single person can learn something new. Every single person.
True.
And if you think that you can't, you're wrong.
100%. 100%. I mean, perfect example. And I was talking with Lucas about this. Like I sent him a message while he was in the air. Morph Market?
Yeah.
Are we sponsored by Morph Market?
No.
Oh,
I bought this shirt.
You did buy that shirt.
No. I was just I didn't want to interrupt anything, but Morph Market has its own community.
Oh, that's true.
Back when King Snake had forums and stuff, they had a community, but
Morph
Market is like the new reptile kind of thing.
Hang place, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they've got a forum on there yet, but I'm willing to bet
sure it's
they'll
going to
do something like that
soon. Yeah. But yeah, on just like the topic of like still learning, forever learning, and I was saying this to Lucas. I sent him a text just being like, hey dude, like I hope you had a great time, blah, blah, blah. Like keep that passion, keep that energy and drive, and always be willing to learn. I was like, because hell, I didn't realize that royal diadems were rear fang venomous until we started looking up
information about them.
And I was like, holy crap, I've known about this species for a while, but I did not know that was an aspect of that species. And that kind of got me even more geeked out about it.
You're like, I need some of these.
I was like, I might need some of those colubrids.
Jeremy, you wanting more colubrids?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Why not?
Got a couple more. How many? 12.
13, 14.
I had an opportunity.
There it is.
That's Jeremy. That's the phrase.
It is my phrase. As literally everything else has been like, I have to save money, and then it's next thing I know is like, I got this opportunity, and I couldn't turn it down. Shout outs to you, Dan Magano and Limey.
So if you want to see the new projects that Jeremy's working with,
you have to go to our OnlyFans.
Hey,
there you go. If you want to see pictures of the new things that I picked up, you have to go check out our OnlyFans.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Yep. I still have not ever logged into our OnlyFans. I need to do that. So now that I've said it here on the podcast,
hold him accountable.
I have to do it. So if you're not a part of our OnlyFans, you need to go to onlyfans.com/reptile talk
and subscribe to us.
Please do it.
Yeah. If you do that, we're also Gonna be sending out wristbands. I got cool Creeping It Real wristbands.
Hey.
Let's say Reptile Keeper on one side and then Creeping It Real on the other side. And I got other ones that say Education Nation on them and also Reptile Keeper. And we have Reptile Talk stickers.
I'm still holding them hostage at my house. But we have them.
We got them.
We got them.
And then we're also going to be probably doing another t-shirt order soon.
Yes.
So
I know a lot
of
people have been waiting for more t-shirts to come in. So
that should
it's
be
happening.
fun. So Jeremy,
yes.
if people want to find out more about you, where are they going to go?
They're going to go to our OnlyFans.
Yes.
100%. You can find out more about me here on YouTube. Woo! YouTube. At Brassman Reptiles. Facebook at Brassman Reptiles. And Instagram at Brassman Reptiles. And I think and Twitter at Brassman Rep. What about you, Rob?
Rip. You can find me on Instagram at Rob is Creeping It Real. On YouTube, Rob is Creeping It Real. And Twitter, Rob is Creeping. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is the end of our resource episodes for the month of January 2021.
Yes.
But if you're listening to this currently as the episodes are coming out, until the end of March 2021.
Oh, this is right.
If you take one of our resource episodes and share it with a friend, send it to them in a message, post it on your Facebook wall or Instagram, share it with somebody who you think might be interested with it. Send me a screenshot at Rob is Creeping It Real on Instagram, and you will be entered. We're going to choose one person. We're going to send a lucky person a digital temp gun, like a really nice temp gun, because everyone should have a temp gun in their reptile room. So
where'd you hear that?
Oh, on our resource episode about tools of the trade.
Oh.
So if you're interested in entering that, I've already got a good list of names of people who have entered. And there's still time. So the end of March 2021. If you're listening to this after that time, sorry, you missed out. Maybe we'll do a different contest later. But concurrently, right now, you can still do that up until the last week of March 2021. So thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.
See ya.